There is an uncomfortable truth about construction that most people shy away from, and it's that the client pays all the costs for construction, whether they know it or not. Someone may say, what is uncomfortable about that? The client is the one who commissions the work, so the client is expected to pay. That is why understanding how projects are priced matters just as much as that final number that everybody looks on. It also matters what items are included in that final number. Therefore, transparency leads to fewer surprises and smarter engagements. You can use a simplified form of agreement, and one is included in the IMAJ's cost data manual. As they said in their introduction, also included is an example of a simplified form of agreement that may be used by owners and contractors or builders when a dwelling is to be constructed. It is advisable that some form of written contract be entered into, as projects at times do not always end amicably. So this is foresight. They know that things can change, that things do not necessarily always go according to plan, and so this is a provision. The real question is not really who pays, because we all know that the client is the one who commissions the work, but is how clearly this is communicated. This is why having an agreement is not optional. It is a must. A proper agreement protects both the client and the contractor. You see, when expectations are not written down, misunderstandings can turn into conflicts, and conflicts can turn into expensive legal battles. A clear contract protects money, relationships, and peace of mind. Do not start without any of those documents if you intend to build. No drawings, confusion. No bills of quantities means cost disputes. Clients often believe that a quoted price is fixed and final, and the contractor may assume that certain items are understood and excluded, and this is where the misunderstanding begins. When expectations are not clearly documented, then assumptions become very expensive. This is where a signed agreement comes in. A signed construction agreement is not just a formality, it is a critical protection tool for both parties. A proper agreement includes what is included, what is excluded, how changes are handled, and who carries the risk. Also, you have the specifications and other clauses. Without a signed agreement, both parties are exposed. The client risks uncontrolled costs, the contractor risks not being paid, disputes, and damaged reputation. One of the biggest mistakes that people make also is to sign an agreement that is not complete. It doesn't have a bills of quantities and a set of drawings. The drawings should be approved, and the bills of quantities will set out the cost for each item and will guide the process going forward. If you do not have a complete set of drawings, the drawings are vague, not approved, you set yourself up for variations, and that can be the subject of dispute. And when there is no bills of quantities, pricing becomes unclear, and therefore variations will come into play. And if there should be any dispute that both parties cannot resolve on their own, then they can take it to the next level, and these documents will be relied upon to come to some form of amicable agreement, not verbal promises and assumptions. Once you can put things on paper, put it on paper. So the uncomfortable truth is that the client pays for everything, but good documentations control how much, when, why, and how. A clear contract doesn't create problems, it prevents them. I encourage everyone to get a contract when they are entering into construction projects. Whether you're a client or a contractor, never start a project unless you have a signed contract with a clear set of drawings and a clear bill of quantities for the project. So this is what the signing page of the form of agreement looks like. Here you go. You have the title up there, form of agreement, and then you have here agreement made this day of year, so you put the date there, between employer, that's a client, of, you put the address of the client, contractor and the contractor's address for the works, and you put the name of the work. For example, construction of dwelling house for Tom and Mary Brown. City weight, you put the address that the construction is to be done. Supervising officer, that will be the person that the employer, the client, would put in charge, just in case there's anything technical. Now it is hereby agreed as follows. 1. For the consideration herein after mentioned, the contractor will, upon and subject to the conditions annexed hereto, carry out and complete the works described in the specifications and bills of quantities and or shown on the contract drawings. So the consideration is the money. The employer will pay to the contractor the sum of, and you state the contract sum in word and figure, words and numbers, or such other sums as shall become payable hereunder at the time and in the manner specified in the said conditions. As witness, the hands of the parties here to sign by the said employer. And the employer would sign there first in the presence of, I have a witness, and the witness name would be there, address, and the witness's occupation. Signed by the contractor and the same information. Contractor's name, the name of the witness, the address of the witness, and description, occupation. Then you go to the next page, which is the conditions of the contract. And there you have a number of conditions. The contractor's obligation. And this is important to clients because the contractor's obligation. The contractor shall, with due diligence and in good and workmanlike manner, carry out and complete the works to the reasonable satisfaction of the SO, all in accordance with these conditions of contract, together with architect's drawings, specifications, schedules or other notes, quotations, etc. attached to this contract. So it's an all-inclusive agreement. Then you have the date of commencement. That is a date when the contract will start, the project will start. The contract, in the same description of the contract, dwelling house for Tom and Mary Brown. Date of completion, and you put the date that you expect to complete, that's binding. Liquidated damages, I'll explain a lot of these terms in other videos. Defects liability period, I'll also explain that. Payment terms, how you get paid. Retention percentage, performance bond, and these are some of them are optional, like the performance bond. Most private people don't do that. Contractors representative, statutory obligations and fees, subcontracting. Then you have insurance. Usually insurance is taken out. You have different types of insurance, like contractors all risks and employer's liability. The client can decide to take care of the insurance because of course the client pays for everything, so the contractor can do it and then charge the client for it. It depends on what they would have agreed upon or what was in the conditions of contract. Practical completion, that defects liability, I'll explain those. Interim payment, how you get paid going forward, and you have those sub clauses there. You have determination by employer, if the employer decides to end the project before the maturity period, and determination by the contractor. The contractor can do the same depending on what is set out here. And then you have arbitration if there's a dispute, and fluctuation. Fluctuation is a key one. I think that one should always be included to protect each party. So again, here you go. If you find these videos helpful, remember to subscribe if you have not yet subscribed. Share the content with others so that they can know about it, so that they can subscribe too, and engage me in the comments. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.